the other day, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, we got Hard Knocks coming to the AFC North. And, people consider this to be the hood of the NFL. And the fact that we have an in-season Hard Knocks that's going to be following 4 teams around, I think it's going to be very interesting because we're going to see the difference in between what makes teams that have great quarterbacks, such as Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, great versus teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers who don't have great quarterback play, who win with a different brand of football. Plus, we get to follow and see what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is one of the biggest storylines heading into this NFL season. This was somebody who at one point was regarded as one of the best elite quarterbacks in the game. Then he gets caught up in some weird off-season allegations. And then he gets traded to the Cleveland Browns, and the Browns were thinking that they finally found the elite quarterback for the first time in their franchise existence. And then all of a sudden, this dude just has completely fallen off the cliff. He's just had a terrible fall from grace. And you wonder if Deshaun Watson is ever going to bounce back to the version that we saw when he was playing with the Houston Texans and he showed so much promise. With Pittsburgh, the whole Russell Wilson, Justin Fields quarterback dynamic is going to be really interesting because you guys already know how I feel about Russell Wilson. I don't think he's going to be that good this season, but if he does end up turning it around and he ends up being able to squeeze a little bit of juice of what's left in the tank of his career, Pittsburgh, not only could they have a shot at winning the division, but maybe they finally win their first playoff game in years. But there's a lot of pressure on Mike Tomlin now with him signing that 3-year extension, and the Steelers within this 3 years, they have to find a way to get themselves back into that Super Bowl window, which I don't really think they're going to be able to get in this season with their current quarterback play. But what if you do throw in Justin Fields? That's going to be an interesting storyline to follow. If Russell Wilson does get benched, can Justin Fields end up being the answer at quarterback for Pittsburgh? You look at the Cincinnati Bengals. You had a disappointing year when Joe Burrow went down with that injury, that wrist injury Thursday night against the Baltimore Ravens. With him fully healthy, are the Bengals going to be back in that Super Bowl discussion? Because outside of Patrick Mahomes, he's been the only quarterback that's consistently made it to the AFC Championship game. He is the only active quarterback right now in the league that has a postseason win against Mahomes in Arrowhead. What about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? We saw them fold and come up short in the biggest game of the year when many of us, myself included, thought they were going to be good enough to take down the monster that is Mahomes and the Chiefs' impending dynasty. Can they get back to the AFC Championship game, or will they get trumped by Joe Burrow? And what I'm really excited to see being covered in Hard Knocks is when the Bengals and the Ravens do square off this year. Because this is really the first time that we really get to see Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson at 100%, at the best of their capabilities, with really good teams that are good enough to win a championship. Who's going to be able to come up on top? Because these are arguably the 2 best quarterbacks in the National Football League right now, not named Patrick Mahomes. Hard Knocks made a great decision to have their first in-season series, or their first in-season, coverage being against, or being covering the AFC North. Because the AFC North is the toughest division in the NFL. Not only is it home to 2 of the league's best quarterbacks, but this is also the division where you see the most physical brand of football being played. You won't see the physicality, the toughness that you see in the AFC North anywhere else in any other division. So I'm really fascinated to see what Hard Knocks is going to be covering and the interesting locker room dynamics that we're going to get to see broadcasted to us on this season of Hard Knocks. And I've always pondered to myself, why haven't we gotten this before? because teams on their individual YouTube channels already have their own versions of Hard Knocks. The Carolina Panthers have been releasing something this offseason called The Blueprint that I've been checking in with. The Atlanta Falcons have their own version of it. Hell, the Ravens had their own version of in-season Hard Knocks. Although they only uploaded the episodes when they won, I was really eager to see how that locker room was handling that Kansas City Chiefs game. And we also get to see how these teams respond in big moments of adversity. There's going to be a team that ends up disappointing. There's going to be a team that ends up living up to expectation. I'm really eager to see how all this unfolds, and I'm really excited to see that Hard Knocks is going to give us an inside look of the AFC North this year, because this has been the NFL's premier division for the last decade or so. I've grown up watching the AFC North, watching these physical outings against Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh has become a really interesting rivalry, considering a few years ago you had the Vontaze Burfict, Antonio Brown incident. So I can't wait for Hard Knocks to come out this year, the in-season version of it.